this video, we will learn about the vCenter VMware ESXi virtualization and how do we migrate the one virtual machine to other ESXi using vMotion, and we will also discuss about the VMware clusters and high availability, and how to configure high availability, how to configure shared storage for high availability, and also we will discuss about distributed resource scheduler DRS, and everything will be discussed with practical. So you will be able to learn how to configure all these things in the vCenter server. So let's start. It's just a basic like what virtualization is. I don't think I need to explain anything here. You guys know pretty well. So these are the virtualization companies that provides virtualizations for the commercial environment, and as you guys know, VMware has the 80% of the share for the virtualization. And these are the products that except the first one, these are the three products we will be discussing here with some lab as well. So the first one is VMware Workstation Player. You guys all might have used it already, and this is just a tool that you install over the Windows or Linux or whatever the operating system you have, and then run virtual machines. Then the second one is VMware vSphere ESXi that we use in our companies to run virtual machines, so that we don't have to use the physical machines for our servers. We just run multiple machines on one server. And the other one is vSphere Client. The vSphere Client is basically just a client to run the operating system from within the browser. It's just like RDP. And the last one is VMware vCenter. So that's the management tool. If you have more than multiple ESXi servers running at your environment, then you have to use the vCenter management tool to manage those ESXi servers. So this is the VMware ESXi server 1 that I am running, and as you can see, this one has 4 virtual machines: Windows 10 server, TrueNAS, and load balancer. The Windows 10 is the machine that I'm currently presenting on. That's running in a virtual environment. This is the tool that you can use to run the Windows from within the ESXi, and this is the storage. So here you can see I have 2 storage. You can call it data store. This is actually a data store, and the operating system is installed on the 120 gig hard drive, but you don't need that big. Even the 4 gig or 8 gig is more than enough. And this is the local for the storage for the operating systems, like the virtual machine, sorry. And you can go to the data store browser to see these are all the ISOs I have uploaded. So this is the this is just a basic your virtual machines running here. This is just a basic part, and this is the host configuration. As you can see, this is the memory. It's 32 gig and it's being used, 20 gig is being used. The processor is almost free. Storage, this is the storage. This is in total actually. So as you can see, I have 2 drives. If you go to the host, you can see it just combines both the storages to show you how much storage you have. And now let's go to my second server. This is my second server, and if you go in the virtual machines, you just pay attention to the first one. The second and third ones are my future projects, so don't worry about those. So in the virtual machine, you go, you see vCenter. So vCenter is the environment that you use to manage manage multiple ESXi hosts. If I say host, the host means the ESXi server. So it's not a virtual machine. It's a ESXi server. So these are both the servers. One is running vCenter and one is running all other 4 virtual machines. Now let's see these virtual machines that are running here. What if you want to move this virtual or migrate this virtual machine to this server? No, you cannot do that, right? You cannot do that from here. If you want to do it from here, it's going to be like long process. Then there is no point of having vCenter. So we will be doing it all through vCenter. So let's go to the presentation. Here is the, let's say you have one ESXi server, which is the first server. And you have another ESXi server, the one that I just showed you, like I am running two ESXi servers. And the first ESXi server, as an example, it's running a Linux operating system. Now, what if this server goes down? What will happen? Nothing, right? The Linux operating system will just die with the server itself. So we need to migrate it to the ESXi 2. In order to migrate it, what we need to have is vMotion network. So if I just explain you in a simple words, vMotion network is a network. It's just a network that we will use to migrate the operating system from server 1 to the server 2, but it will be manual. Okay, it will be manual, and this we will do cold migration. So in our lab, as you know, I have not configured the vMotion network. If the vMotion network is not configured, we will have to do the cold migration. The cold migration is basically you have to shut down the server, not the server, sorry. You have to shut down the virtual machine and then migrate the virtual machine to the other server and then turn on the virtual machine. If you want this process to be automated, then you need to have vMotion, VMware cluster, and HA enabled. Don't worry about it. We will discuss this in detail later. So HA is basically high availability. So let's go back. Now I will go to my vCenter. I will just show you the appliance management. I'm not going to do anything here. I'll just show you what it is. This is just a appliance management tool where you can manage your appliance. Appliance is basically just the your vCenter. So I will remove the port and enter. Okay, previously in the past they used to have the Flex, which used to run on Java. But as you know that the Java, the Flash is no longer supported, so you have to use the vSphere client, which is a HTML5 client. This is our vCenter client, and here you can see this needs a license if you want to use it in commercial environment, and they give you 60 days free license, which is more than enough to learn. So as you can see, the IP address, this is our vCenter appliance or vCenter management that's running within the ESXi 2. And this is our data center. My lab is our data center. Okay, you can see both the ESXi servers here. This is server 1, this is server 2. If you go to the host, you can see that it shows you a message. You are currently using, the host is being managed by vCenter server. So because I have vCenter server installed, so that's why it shows this message. So if I go to vCenter, simply you need to right click and add host. And in the host, you just put this IP address and then credentials, and then you're good to go. Your host will be in the vCenter client environment, and you can manage both the host together. And if you expand that, you can see all those 4 virtual machines are shown here, and here you can see the vCenter. Now, if you go to the data store, in the data store you can see the NVMe1, NVMe2 OS. I already showed you all of them. The NVMe1 and the OS is on ESXi 1 and NVMe2 is on ESXi 2. So these are all the data stores. Now let's say this is the operating system. Don't worry about it what it is. It's just a Linux operating system. So let's say we have to migrate it. We have to do some maintenance on 2.6. Let's say you want to expand RAM on it, you have to shut it down, right? And if you shut it down, what's going to happen? The virtual machine is going to shut down, which will be bad for your environment. If your company is running 24/7, you cannot do it. So you right click, go to maintenance mode, enter maintenance mode, but you cannot do that because it has virtual machines running on it. Let's say we have only one virtual machine here and we want to migrate it. We will right click, migrate. Okay, now it tells you three options. The first one, change computer resources only. The computer resources are the processor, RAM, but if we just change the computer resources, the storage will stay on the ESXi one. Okay, but if we shut it down, the storage will shut down too. So there is no point of using this option or this option. Both of options are not like they won't help us, because either way, if we shut down the 2.6, it's going to shut down both of these things as well. So we have to change both computer resources as well as storage. So I click next. Now it's going to ask you where you want to move the your virtual machine. So I want to move it to 2.7, which is my second ESXi. Now here you see there are compatibility issues that need your attention. If you click on show details, remember what I told you in the presentation, in the PPT, it was the vMotion interface is not configured. You need to have vMotion interface configured if you want to migrate the running operating system. So I will close it, cancel it. As you can see, the operating system is running right now. I cannot just bring it, migrate to the other one just as it is. So what I need to do is I have to shut it down. I'm just showing the cold migration, not the live migration. So as you can see, okay, it's shut down. The machine is shut down. Let's do the migration now. Right click, migrate, both, next, 2.7. As you can see now, compatibility checks succeeded, so no errors. Next. Okay, it's asking me which storage I want to move it to. Of course, it's NVMe 2. I only have one storage on my second ESXi server. Next. Network, I only have one, so don't worry about it. Next, and finish. If you see at the bottom, the relocation has started already. It will take a couple of seconds. You can see that the machine has gone. It's moved to ESXi 2. Now when I turn it on, now on the server 1, you can do whatever you like. You can shut it down. You can then do the maintenance, and you're good to go because your machine is already on the second ESXi server, and here you can see it's starting up. So in the cold migration, the only downtime will be the time it takes to power it on back. That's the only downtime. It will be couple of minutes, you can say 2-3 minutes. If that's okay for you, you don't need to worry about the other features. You just do the cold migration. But in a company, you don't need that. You don't want even 2 minutes downtime, right? So let's go back. We already discussed this with the vMotion. If your this is the vMotion, sorry, I still did not discuss it. So we did the cold migration. Now we want to do the live migration. We don't want to shut down the operating system. We want to migrate it as it is, like it's running on the system on the ESXi 2, and I want to migrate it back to the ESXi 1, but without any downtime. So for that, we need to configure vMotion network. vMotion network, okay. So if you go to our ESXi 1 and configure, and here you can see the virtual switches. This is the current network environment. As you can see, this is the VM network. If you expand it, you can see all the four virtual machines. They are all running here. What I will do is add networking. So you just read this thing. The VM kernel TCP/IP stack handles traffic for ESXi services such as vSphere vMotion. This is right now we want to do vSphere vMotion. So we will click next. We don't need to, we only have one switch, so we need to leave it default. Next. Now what we want to name it, we will name it vMotion. And here we have to enable vMotion as well. We can run multiple services here, as you can see, but it is out of scope right now. So next, now we have to provide a static IP, but for that we need to have an IP first. So let's see if I am using until 8. Let's see if I have 9 available. Yes, 9 is not pinging. So 9 is available. I can give it 9, 2.9. 255, 255, .0. Next, finish. Go back, see if you can ping it. Yes, you can ping it. That means the vMotion is configured. Let's do the same on our second ESXi host. Next, vMotion. Now vMotion. Next. Again, static IP. Let's see if we have the next available. I cannot use 10 because 10 is my default gateway. Let's see 11. Well, 11 is not available. Let's see 12. Yeah, 12 is available. Next, finish. Let's ping it. Yes, both the vMotion networks are up and running on both the ESXi host. Now, as you can see, load balancer, if I go to its console, you can see it's running, right? It is running. So I will right click, migrate both. Next, where I want to migrate it, now I want to migrate to back to the ESXi 1. Compatibility is succeeded. Next. Okay, here I have 2 drives as I showed you, because one is for the ESXi operating system and one is for the virtual machines. I'm going to use the first one. So next, just leave the first option. It's going to transfer it over on high priority. Next, finish. As you can see, the migration has started. If you go to the virtual machine, you can still see it's still running. There is no downtime. And if you see, go back, and you can see the machine is back up and running, and the machine is still running. It's running in the background. The console is closed because it's on the other virtual machine console. But if you come here and open it, it's running. So this is the beauty of vCenter. You don't have to shut down the virtual machine in order to migrate, if you do any maintenance on your ESXi host. No downtime, but still it's a manual migration. Yes, it is, but it still saves you tons of time if you want to do any maintenance on any of the ESXi host. Okay, so now, so I already explained it. vMotion is for live migration, and it transfers the virtual machine's active memory and precise execution state, and the entire process takes less than 2 seconds, and it allows you to automatically optimize virtual machines and move virtual machines away from failing or underperforming servers. Now, let's talk about clusters. So a cluster is basically a group of hosts. When a host is added to a cluster, the resources of the host become part of the resource of the cluster. It's just simple explanation. The resources basically, when you have 2 or more than 2 ESXi servers running, you can create a cluster and put all 2 or 4 hosts into that one cluster, and then let's say your one host has 30 GB RAM, the other one has 20 GB RAM. So if you put it in the cluster, it's going to be 50 GB RAM. And when you create a virtual machine, it's going to decide itself where it wants to put the virtual machine. So again, the cluster enables vSphere high availability, HA and DRS, and VMware SAN feature. We are not discussing anything about the SAN feature, but we will do HA and DRS. So the last thing, a cluster is useless is if HA or DRS features are not used. So if we are not using HA or DRS features within the cluster, then there is no point of creating a cluster, because HA and DRS are pretty important for the automation of the virtual machines transfer from one ESXi to the other one. Okay, what is HA? The HA is like, it allows ESXi hosts to work together as a group and provide performance assurance and higher levels of availability for hosted virtual machines. So what HA basically what it does is it installs agent on all the clusters, and then they communicate with each other to find out if there is any server shutdown or any server issues, and then it moves the virtual machine automatically to the other vSphere host. And but here, if you see this, read the second point here, it says restart virtual machine on the vSphere host in the cluster without manual intervention when a server outage is detected. If you remember, I showed you need to right click and then migrate, and while you are migrating it, it just migrates the live operating system. But if you want it to be automated, then and if you are enabling HA, remember the virtual machines will be rebooted. Let's say you go into the server room, you unplug the power from the ESXi host 1. What's going to happen? Of course, it's going to shut down, right? All the data stores that exist on the ESXi 1, they will all shut down. Your virtual machines are gone. So you need to have a shared storage in order to save those virtual machines. If you don't have a shared storage, there is no point of having HA. If you have a shared storage, you need to move all your virtual machines to the shared storage. But here is a catch. If you unplug the power your ESXi host, but you have a shared storage, what will happen is the ESXi host will turn off completely because you unplug the cable. The virtual machine will shut down and then automatically reboots and goes back to the ESXi host 2 automatically. You don't have to do anything, but there will be a downtime. The virtual machine will shut down. But it will be automated. So these are some requirements of the HA. All ESXi hosts must be the same version and same batch level. All hosts must be licensed, and there must be at least 2 HA heartbeat data stores. Okay, we need at least 2 data stores attached to the ESXi servers. HA is a mechanism to have a heartbeat check on each ESXi server. So the way it checks is it is by putting that heartbeat agent on the shared data storage. So we have to create a data store, because right now the ESXi server are on the local storage, but we need a shared storage, right? As Nahid was asking. So we need a NFS storage for that. You can either use NAS like Synology or any other open source like TrueNAS or Open Media Vault. As you guys already know from my last lab, I already have the Open Media Vault. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my Open Media Vault. And if I go to the services, you can see here is the NFS. So I need to go to the NFS and create a new share here. So let's create HB. I've already created as a folder. And for the client, who will have access to it? I will just say everybody will have access to the NFS share. Change it to read write, and let's say heartbeat for um, VMware. Save. Now we need another NFS storage. I already created it. Shared VM. So the virtual machines will be saved on this NFS shared machine. Let's give everybody access to it. Right. Shared storage for VMs. Save. Now, right, check that, and you need to wait. It will take a couple of seconds. In the meantime, I will go to the data store. In the data store, you can see I have 3 local data stores. I'm going to right click here and storage, new data store. And here you select NFS, latest, and the name I will give shared VM, and the location will be shared VM, and the server, my Open Media Vault server is 2.50. I will add next, keep it default, next. Okay, it's asking you where I'm gonna assign these data stores to. So I need to assign it to the both the ESXi servers. Next, finish. Here you go. You can see the shared data store is here, and here you can see it's 3.2 terabyte and used is only 573. Now I need to create another for the heartbeat. Remember I told you heartbeat, it's the HA will be using it to detect any outages in the servers or any issues with the servers. So new data store, NFS again. Next, I will name it heartbeat HB. Server same. Add it. Next. Both the host. Next, finish. It is HB. I don't know why it did not detect. Let's try again. Sometimes it does not detect for the first time. Both. Okay. Yeah, so HB. So remember, if you are using Synology NAS or any other NAS where you need to tell the system how much space you wanna assign it, because right now it's just assigning the whole storage, which is fine for me. But if you are using NAS, it's creating a new volume, then make sure you assign at least 5 gig for the heartbeat. Heartbeat needs at least 5 gig. And for the shared volume, it's just how much you need to store the virtual machines, that you better understand how many virtual machines you have. So this is the how you create a shared data store. Now let's say load balancer, right now it's running on the local virtual machine. Now I'm gonna migrate it. Okay, here you see, here's the thing. Here you can keep the same computer resources, but I'm gonna migrate the virtual machine, so the whole machine. So where I'm gonna migrate here, 2.7, or you know what, let's keep the same. Next, and here's the data storage. You see this shared VM? I'll click that. Next. finish. Now the machine, this virtual machine is going on to the NFS. It's not gonna be anymore on 2.6. It will be, sorry, it will be slow because my Open Media Vault is running on Wi-Fi. It's not connected to the Ethernet, and it's at home, so it's not that fast. But anyways, you know how to migrate it. Once it's migrated, then you don't need to worry about shutting it down, because the virtual machine itself gonna go back to second ESXi host if you shut it down or if you unplug the power cable. But just make sure that the virtual machine will restart. It will not live migrate, it will restart, because it's HA, it's high availability, it's not DRS. For that, you need to have a DRS configured. I think this will take time, so I will just cancel it. Okay. So that's the HA cluster. Now, this is the shared storage I just explained to you. You create a NAS, you create shared drives, and you install OS on it, and then create a data store, and then share it within the vCenter. So that's how you create a shared storage for the HA. And this is distributed resource scheduler. So VMware, it's a feature which is included in the vSphere Enterprise Edition. With this, you can just improve the service levels. It provides high available resources to your workloads, balance workloads, and scale and manage computing resources without the service disruption. So let's say you have a vCenter cluster here, and you have a multiple ESXi hosts running here. And on one of the ESXi hosts, you have 3 virtual machines running. But then DRS sees that the 3 virtual machines are running on one ESXi host, but other two ESXi hosts has only nothing running on them. So what DRS will do is it will automatically move the virtual machines to different ESXi hosts to balance the load. So basically DRS will do the load balancing. Back here, I'm not gonna do any practical here, because I have lots of virtual machines running here. If I put it in let's say if I put it in maintenance mode, then I don't have enough resources on my this ESXi host. It will not be able to handle all 4 virtual machines, so I cannot do that. But let's do the clustering first. So if I right click new cluster, and new cluster, I will name it lab cluster. Here you can see you can enable vSphere DRS and vSphere HA. You can enable from here, but I'm not doing it right now. I will just click OK. Okay, so the cluster is created, but there is nothing under the cluster. The cluster is under the data center. So what we need to do is we need to add these hosts to this cluster, both the hosts. So right click, add host. You can either do this, or you can simply, I think the drag and drop will also work. Right click, yeah, it did work. So select this and drag and drop. As you can see now, all the ESXi hosts and virtual machines are part of one cluster. So if you go here in the summary, you can see the total RAM of both the ESXi host, total CPU, and total storage. As you can see, it's 8 terabyte. Yes, it's 8 terabyte. So now everything is under one cluster. So you right click here and then new virtual machine, and you can create a new virtual machine. It's going to ask you, let's do a test virtual machine. It's you can click next, and then it's going to ask you where you want to put. Okay, here's the thing. You see that selected cluster is not in DRS mode. If it's not in DRS mode, you have to manually select where you want to create the virtual machine. But if you enable DRS, the DRS will decide where the virtual machine needs to go. So right now I don't have HA, I don't have DRS, nothing configured here. So I will just cancel it. So you go to the lab cluster. So configure here. You see the DRS, you click on edit and you enable the DRS. I will go by default fully automated. So it will be fully automated and it's gonna decide itself where it's gonna move the virtual machines. And you can choose this, but I'm gonna keep it default. There is a predictive DRS. You have to enable that as well. Not the predictive, sorry, I think you don't need to worry about this. In the additional options, VM distribution, you can as per requirements, you can make the changes. You can enable this. It's just CPU overcommitment. If it goes above those CPUs, then it will not migrate the virtual machine, or in case you are setting up a new virtual machine, it's going to decide on the basis of how many CPUs you want to keep separated from the virtual machines. In the power management, leave it default. Advanced, leave it default, and click OK. And DRS is enabled, and you need to enable the vSphere HA is as well. Click on edit. Here you can see that here you will see host failure response. So if the ESXi1 host dies or you unplug the cable, what will happen? As I said, it will restart the virtual machines. There is no other option because HA cannot handle the detection of completely dead ESXi host. If the ESXi host dies, it's gonna reboot the virtual machine on a separate ESXi host. You can make the changes, but don't worry about it right now. Here is the heartbeat. Remember I explained you need to create a heartbeat for the HA, and you need to select the HB shared drive that we created on the NFS storage. In the advanced, you can leave it as it is, and then OK, and OK. It's DRS and HA is both activated. You need to turn on proactive HA as well. Proactive HA is like it allows the HA to monitor any hardware failures. For example, if the server has some power issues or it is very close to shutting down, it will pick that up right away, and it's going to transfer over the migrate the virtual machine. So use status, just choose manual, and then that's leave it default. There was another option here that I forgot to mention. Admission control, yeah. So here I will disable it because I only have 2 ESXi hosts. If you have more than 2, then you need to leave it cluster resource percentage on default, but I will disable it because I only have 2 ESXi hosts. I will click OK, and that's it. It's both the virtual machines are the HA and DRS is enabled on both the virtual machines, and the error that you see, it's the host is host currently has no management network redundancy. As this is a lab, we don't need to worry about it because it's just a lab. And if you are in a company's environment, you are running this, then you need to create another management network for the network redundancy. You need to have a different network for the HA and vSphere. Remember, we created a vMotion. You need to have a separate vMotion like network for the DRS and HA. So that's the DRS and HA. And now if you wanna let's say you change
your company's virtualization to a different environment like Hyper-V or a different platform. You can just simply right click and you can go to template and then export OVF template. Right now it's grayed out because the virtual machine is running. Once you shut down the virtual machine, you can just click on template and then export OVF template. It's gonna export the OVF template here. Here, as you can see, I have multiple let's say this is when you export it, it's gonna create MF, OVF, VMDK and NVRAM files. So you just go to the Hyper-V and just simply import these OVF, all these 4 files, and your virtual machine will be transferred over to your Hyper-V environment or any other environment, does not matter. Even you can export it to your Proxmox environment as well, or either way from Proxmox to your vSphere. And the beauty of vSphere is that you can even import the physical machines. Like let's say you have a physical server running, but you want to virtualize it, you can do that. There is a software that VMware provides you, but I think they already they don't it's already deprecated, I believe. The software name was, I believe, VMware Converter. This is the software. I downloaded it from third-party website, and you can use that. And there is another one, Starwind Converter, that you can use. Let's see, I'll show you Starwind Converter as well. And here you can select, let's say you have a virtual machine that you want to convert, transfer over to Hyper-V. I already showed you one method, but let's say you want to do it from here, or let's say you want to transfer the physical machine. You click here, entire machine, next, select all the volumes, next, and where you want to transfer your physical machine to, just click on remote VMware ESXI, and then we will just use the IP address 168.2.6, and I will just provide the credentials. And where I want to do it, as you can see, it will show you all the share local drives and the shared drives. You cannot use Heartbeat. So this is the shared drive. If you click on the shared drive, you can select the shared drive, click OK, and you can name the PC. And if you click on convert, it's gonna convert your physical machine into a virtual machine right onto your, you can see it already created your a little bit of ESXI host, but I will just delete it. So it's gonna convert your physical machine right into the vSphere ESXi. You don't have to do much work. So delete from disk, yes, it's deleted. If you see here, you can see it already created a little bit of configuration, but I will just delete it. Yeah. So it's gonna, you guys must know, convert your physical machine right into the vSphere ESXi. You don't have to, if you want to revert it back to a different time or date, you can do it from here. Yeah, I think that's it.